When you say economics, a lot of people think about interest rates or the stock market, but economics actually has a lot of tools that can be used to answer questions that are on topics that are very different from that.
This maybe isn't a topic that people would originally think of as, oh, this is economics. But there's a lot of economics in this, not only because we know that mental health can have lasting implications on sort of more classic economic outcomes like educational attainment or, investment in human capital, or labor market outcomes like wages and labor market attachment later on. But I think the other thing that economists can really bring to the table is in terms of methodology. And so economists treat causality very seriously and have put a lot of work into figuring out how we can disentangle causal effects from observational data.
One of the exciting moments of the project was really seeing that first initial graph, where you really see this increase in antidepressants for exposed individuals. This is just giving us another estimate of the cost of gun violence that is useful for informing policies more generally about how to reduce gun violence. And second, I think it's telling us, look, there's this important group of individuals that may not be sort of visibly affected by gun violence, but potentially suffer these long-term consequences. So we want to be devoting resources to pay attention to this group.
Ultimately, of course, all we are doing is we want to have an impact on society, right? We want to make the world a better place. Otherwise, why would we do all of this to begin with? I think ideally you want your results to spread as much as possible. With every result you push out there can sharpen the mind of people. That would be a kind of a dream impact in a sense.
If it's just research for research's sake, it won't have the biggest impact that it could from it being more broadly communicated. If no one is able to appreciate the results that you're finding, then the results of your research don't have the same impact as it would otherwise.
That's a critical aspect of research. And so how do we estimate these effects, and how do we use the data in sort of the most rigorous, comprehensive way possible? But then, almost as equal, if not more equally important part of a job is to take that and weave it into something that's kind of like a story that allows people to digest this information, to be able to do something with this information. Because ultimately, you want to inform some kind of policy, to inform people that might take the research and do something actionable with it.
I think one of the reasons people go into economics is to inform policy. Our paper is definitely a first step in terms of telling policymakers that we need to take a much wider lens when we look at the effects of school shootings. Most of the attention is currently on the victims who are killed, and we should absolutely focus attention on them as well. But there's many more bystanders who live. And so figuring out what to actually do to help mitigate the consequences for them, I think is an important area for future research.
Well, I want this research to be a part of a broader conversation surrounding why there's so much gun violence in America and ultimately what can be done about it. My hope is that making small steps in terms of doing the research on this topic can push forward policy discussions that can actually do something to intervene and to help curb this epidemic. The less we know about an issue, the less that we can do about it. And so my hope is that our research can add to the conversation, add to the discussion, and inspire other research as well. I mean, that's the other big part of doing research. And hopefully it also inspires other, generations of researchers to do their own even better research on these topics and push that envelope even further.